I'm going to make sure I wash my hands before I prepare the medications. So that would be simulated right now. First, I'm going to verify that the doctor's orders match the medication administration record. So with that, I'm checking the 6 rights. That's that I have the right patient, which is Bob Sweetheart, the right medication, which is the Zosyn, the right dose, 3.375 grams in 100 milliliters, the right IV fluid, which is the normal saline, and by IV, and the right time. So it'll be infused over 4 hours every 8 hours. I have my supplies ready. I have my primary bag, which is the sodium chloride, and then I have the piggyback medication, and then I have the primary tubing and the secondary tubing, and then the medication added label here that I'm going to add to the secondary. So first I'm going to open the bag. I'm going to take it out and apply some pressure. I'm also checking once again that I have the right IV fluid, which is the sodium chloride, and the right amount, which is the 500 mLs. So I'm putting pressure to check for leaks and any tears in the bag. Looks good. And then while I'm here, I'm also going to look for clarity of the solution and color. And lastly, I'm going to check the expiration date, which says September 2020, and that looks good. Next, I'm opening up the primary tubing set here. I'm going to take this out, get it all ready. Now I'm going to look at the clamp here and put it about 2 inches underneath the drip chamber, and I'm going to close the clamp all the way. And I'm going to take the cap off of the primary solution. And I'm also going to take the cap off of the tubing of the spike, being careful not to contaminate the spike. And I'm going to carefully place the spike inside, twisting it a little bit so it goes in there. I'm going to fill this up halfway. I'm going to fill the drip chamber up about halfway with the fluids. Now that I have the drip chamber halfway full, I'm going to prime the tubing of the primary solution. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take the cap off the opposite end here and undo the clamp. Air bubbles here. So there's one here, so I'm going to gently tap the bubble. And so it goes up. There it goes. I'm finishing checking the tubing for any air bubbles. Looks good. Looks good. There's one on the end here. And then I'm going to recap this tubing. And this one is all set and ready to go. I'm going to prepare the medication label that will be put on the piggyback medication. I'm going to include the patient, the drug, the amount in grams, and the base solution of the normal saline, 100 milliliters, my name, the date that I prepared it, the time that I prepared it, the start time, end date, and then the flow rate. And the expiration date is 24 hours after the time that I prepared it if it's room temperature, and 7 days if it is refrigerated. Here I have the finished medication label. The patient is Bob Sweetheart. The drug is Zosyn. The amount is 3.375 grams in the base solution of 100 milliliters per normal saline. Added by me, Hannah Person, student nurse. I added it on September 8th at 0800, and then followed down here at the expiration date. I put it expires 24 hours later at 0800, and I found that information on Skyscape. The start time of the piggyback med was 0900 on the same date, and then the flow rate is 25 mils per hour. And I didn't have Mr. Sweetheart's room number, so I can add the medical record number. While I am creating the new medication label, it is also a good time for me to do another med check that I have the right patient, the right drug, dose, route, time, and rate. As all set up, I'm going to set up the secondary, which is the medication. I'm going to open up the bag here. And assuming that I prepped the medication, I'm going to add the medication label that I showed that I already prepared. And then for this, I'm also going to apply the pressure and make sure that there's no tears or leaks. And once again, that I added the right medications. This is another time to do the med check. Next, I'm going to open up the secondary tubing. And this includes the hook. And I'm going to open up the tubing all the way, make sure I've got everything on here. And I'm going to, first things first, close the clamp. And I have the medication here, so I'm going to take off the cap. Let's see. The cap off, and then I'm going to take the cap of the spike off, making sure that I don't contaminate it. And I'm going to enter the spike into this chamber here with a twisting motion. Okay, now that we have that ready, now I'm going to fill the drip chamber about halfway. So we have it about halfway filled right there, the drip chamber. And now I'm ready to prime the tubing. And to do that, I'm going to unclamp it slowly and let the liquid slowly start to go through the tubing here. And I'm leaving the cap on the other end so we don't lose too much fluid. So it's still going through, all the way through the tubing, and I have checked it all, and there are no bubbles, so this is ready to go. So now I have both my primary and my secondary solutions, and now that we're ready, I'm going to wash my hands and head on into the patient's room. Hi, Mr. Sweetheart. My name is Hannah. I'm a student nurse here, so I'm going to just wash my hands here and get your medications going. Oh. Goodness. Okay, so can I have your first and last name, please? Thank you, and your date of birth? Thanks. And now I'm checking the IV site for redness, swelling, any rash. And Mr. Sweetheart, do you have any allergies to any medications? Okay, so you're allergic to sulfa and shellfish. I will put that in the record. All right, I'm gonna go get the Zosyn, and it was ordered by your doctor. It's an anti-infective, and one of the side effects is actually pain around the IV site. So just let me know if that, becomes unbearable. And also I have your maintenance fluids to keep you hydrated. So just to verify one more time, we have the 0.9% sodium chloride for maintenance fluids, and then the 3.375 grams per 100 milliliter Zosyn to be run over 4 hours. Okay, so now I'm gonna just take my sterile alcohol pad and clean this for about 15 seconds. Simulating, throw it away, and then I'm going to, okay, so now I'm going to hang this medication higher than the primary, and with this being cleaned already, put that there, screw this one in. Okay, and I'm going to verify the pump here. That the primary is running at 75 mils per hour, and then the secondary is the 25 mils per hour to make up the 100 mils running over 4 hours. And then I'm going to unclamp this and run the secondary line. So the sixth right is the documentation. So now I'm going to document on Bob Sweetheart's MAR that I gave him the normal saline on September 8th at 0900 and my initials, and then also that I piggybacked the Zosyn on that, also 9/8 at 0900 and my initials. And then down here I'm gonna write my name. Student nurse, and my initials. And then for the location key, it was on Bob's right arm. So we'll just add that up here. It was the right lower quadrant. After reviewing my video, I noticed that I could have made some changes. First of all, I would have provided privacy upon entering the patient's room. Second of all, I would have verbalized that the Zosyn was in fact compatible with the normal saline, so they could be run through the same site. I also would have worn gloves when I was connecting the secondary line to the primary. And lastly, I would have verbalized that I was checking the drips, the drops that were coming down in the drip chamber after I set the pump and started it.